Hey all, Eskie here, bringing you another Deadlock replay review. So in this replay, we're going to be watching iRemiix, a former Overwatch pro, playing Mo and Krill. Hopefully we're going to learn something. My opinion, always a good way to get better at the game is to watch players better than you play the game and try to learn from them. So I think one of the most important things to do early game, especially while you're sitting there waiting for the game to start, look at your lane opponent and think about the things that you need to do to win lane. So we know because of the color coding up here, Mo and Krill's in orange and Yamato's in orange, that we're going to be up against the Yamato lane. And I think you just saw right there, the number one thing to do against Yamato in lane is to try to dodge the one. So whenever she goes to charge like that, that's basically the whole like damage that she's going to do to you early game. Obviously, there's going to be some gun damage, but the big portion of damage is going to come from her one and her charge strike. Forgive me, I don't know the name. So just trying to avoid that generally is going to be your number one priority in lane, aside from, of course, farming and denying when you can. So see, Remix just dodged right there. That gives him a big advantage. The other thing to keep in mind is, so if you saw he dodged that, he knows the one is on cooldown at that point, so he's going to go in there and be a little bit more aggressive, punching minions to make sure that the Yamato can't get the dive or the deny off. So thinking about your opponent's cooldowns too is going to be an important way to play lane to make sure that you don't take too much damage when you go in. So see, he just took a huge chunk of damage there. I think that's a bit of a misplay. I think you really want to sit back against Yamato and try your best to just bait out her one, dodge it, and then you can be aggressive. Damn, there's another big chunk of damage. I think another good thing to do in lane that he's not necessarily doing, it can be hard too depending on the angle, but killing the healing minion, that one right there with the flag above its head first, is always a great thing to do in lane because that helps avoid the sustain that your opponent has. Oh man, I think he's going to die here. Yeah, so especially early game, we're going to speed this up. Especially early game, it's very important to dodge that one from Yamato. If you don't, you're going to get chunked down pretty hard, and she's going to be able to kill you. Man, and that, I really feel like the hitbox on that too can be pretty BS sometimes. There's been plenty of times where I've been behind cover, and I feel like my character model is completely behind that cover, and I still get hit by the one. Yeah, he's just taking a ton of damage here. First item he got was actually Headshot Booster. I actually don't agree with that item choice, and the reason is because he's taking so much damage, he's getting pushed out in lane really hard. Let's see what he buys. Extra regen. I would have actually bought the extra regen first, maybe even a healing right, because you're just taking so much damage in lane, and Yamato is just running the lane at this point. She's also over 1,000 souls ahead right now. So your priority is one, to not die, and two, to get as much farm as possible at this point. You're just not going to be able to fight her. And Headshot Booster is usually an item you buy for harassment in lane. See, man, that thing just goes so far. That is crazy. Let's also look at his skill build here real quick. So the first point he put into is his one. Obviously, that's a sustainability, and that's going to help you in lane two. I would, if I had to guess, he'd probably going to get the two as well since he hasn't gotten the one on there. Because upping that damage is going to give you more sustain in lane. I got to learn the names of all these abilities. I'm so bad. Scorn. Scorn. So yeah, just punching whenever possible. I think Yamato had gone back there. Ooh, he didn't have any stamina there, I don't think, and that hurts real bad. So monster rounds next up. I think that's a good buy as well, especially when you're behind in lane. Monster rounds can help you farm a lot easier and prevent your turret from getting pushed super hard, because one of the things that's going to happen, and I think you'll see in a lot of high-level Deadlock, is when someone is ahead, they're just going to be constantly pushing in your lane, constantly threatening you. I mean, this Yamato is just sitting there wailing on the turret, or the Guardian. Sorry, I got to get my terminology right here. I've been told in previous videos that I'm using other MOBA terminology. I got to make sure to use this MOBA terminology. So Guardians. Oh, he's going to take a chunk of damage. Oh, she missed. Wow. I think it's just so risky going up to Yamato like that. Let's see what items the Yamato has. Oh yeah, 2 punches, Mystic Burst. So Yamato's gonna be doing a bunch of damage, especially close up. Another thing to note is I mentioned killing Yamato's sustained minion. You also want to be standing by your sustained minion as well, you know, vice versa. You want to try to keep it alive and stand next to it as much as you can to sustain in lane, especially when you're taking this much damage. So that was a good burrow there. That's another way you can dodge as Mo and Krill. You know, you get a bunch of tankiness when you're in your burrow. So if you see Yamato charging up like that, you can always dodge with your 2. Sorry, is it burrow? I did. I got it right. It's burrow. So iRemiix is backing off here. I think you guys saw the Shiv come, and you know he's just super far behind in lane right now, 2.4k to 4.8k. I'm sure it was less before the tower died, but you know if you have someone coming over like that, you just have to back off. You don't want to die. It's actually pretty crazy too. They're already up on the walker. Oh man, and he just took a ton of damage there. Yeah, that Shiv is pretty far ahead of him too. I really just don't feel like there's anything he could have done there. The Abrams came over to lane, if you see on the minimap right there, and ended up dying. But I really think that's kind of his team's fault at that point as well. You really need to go over and help your other lanes if possible, and especially if they're pushing a walker that early on. You know, Yamato is actually not that far ahead of the other members of his team. Abrams, Pocket, Ivy, Lash, they're all on 5k-ish. So you could have someone rotate over there and 1v2 that Yamato or 2v2 with the Shiv there. Let's look at his skill build again. So yeah, he got the 2nd point in Scorn. I think that really helps early on with your sustain. So I usually like that as well. I would imagine the next points he's going to get is probably either points in burrow or points in combo. 3 is nice, but Sandblast is nice, but it's really just a disarm at that point, right? I think your other skill upgrades are more important. So Yamato's still up here. I really feel like, well, yellow lane just lost. That Guardian died. They're all 4 in purple lane right now. I guess they could push the Guardian. Although getting this much damage on the Guardian early on, I mean, you could see in the bottom of the minimap, it's really low. I would honestly expect 1 or 2 of them to come over here. It looks like, oh man, he's going to die again. So Calvin rotated as well. They actually might get this Guardian. Here, let's see. I think Abrams came over. No, he didn't. Or sorry, Vindicta came over. So Vindicta's finally here, but this Guardian is just less than half life at this point. It's only 8 minutes into the game. That's just really crazy. I would have expected the team to help more at this point. Yeah, they got an 830 Guardian. That is crazy fast Guardian. So just a few more items here. Comment on them right quick. So Mystic Burst, Mystic Reach, pretty standard early game. Sprint Boots, pretty standard early game. Close quarters, I mean, you're Mo and Krill. You're going to be up in their face. You're going to be ulting. Makes sense, right? And then the first tier 2 item he buys is Mystic Vulnerability. I actually like this a lot. So both Mystic Vulnerability and Bullet Resist Shredder, I think are great early game buys because it really pushes your damage up, and they're pretty cheap items as well. Great ult there. The Viscose was pretty low there. I think he might have been able to get away with not ulting there, but you got to secure that kill, right? Your team's pretty far behind at this point, and you got to take advantage of as much as possible. No way this Abrams goes in on this Shiv, right? There's no way. He's just going to die. Oh, yeah. So the Shiv came around. So I guess let's kind of talk about the game state at this point. So they are about 10k behind, which is a lot for 10 minutes. So what is the strategy here, really? In my mind, the first thing that you need to do is farm as much as possible, right? Like, you don't want to fight at all. That's what iRemiix is doing right here. Just farming, farming, farming. Man, that Vindicta's mad, man. Oh, my God. That's brutal. As I was saying, You want to be farming as much as possible, trying your best not to die. You're going to have to concede some things like buffs, which, you know, if you're looking at the minimap, they just got some buffs. They're actually team fighting over there right now. They actually got a kill, which is good. But stuff like Spirit Urn, buffs, you're just going to have to concede those map objectives while you farm, trying to get back up. So some of his team is actually on par with the other team. Like Abrams is at 11K, Lash is at 10K. So some of his team, I would say, could probably fight. And it looks like they are right now. Pocket's in a 1v3 here. Let's see if he rotates over. Yeah, so he's going to rotate over here. Yeah, so I think that's a great illustration of what you can be doing when you're behind, especially as Mo and Krill. Your ult is just so valuable. Oh, he probably dies here, right? Yeah, there's just too many, and his team abandoned him. Here, we'll just speed this up. So in that situation, you know, as Mo and Krill, you're behind. You want to be farming as much as possible, but you also want to look for those opportunities to get value out of your ultimate. And that's what he did there, right? He ulted the Yamato. Abrams came over. They killed him. That was value. Obviously, the rest of the team rotated on them, and he ended up dying, which was unfortunate. But farming and looking for value out of your ultimate when you can, that's what you really want to be doing in this case. So Cold Front, next item. I think that would be pretty standard on a lot of close range spirit heroes. Obviously, Mo and Krill's dealing a lot of spirit damage, Witcher 2, Witcher 1. So I feel like that's a pretty standard buy at this point. Like, let's look at his skill build again. So he got 2 points in Scorn first, and then he went 2 points into Burrow. I'm actually curious if he gets the 1 point in combo here. Man, that's a bad name for a skill. I feel like that's so generic. I didn't know it was called combo. Me right now, I'm probably getting 1 point in your ultimate here combo, because that 30%, the 30-second cooldown reduction is big. And, you know, obviously you're pretty far behind at this point, and you want to start enabling your team, especially this Abrams. This Abrams is sitting on 15K, which is, you know, way, way more than anyone else on the enemy team. So enabling him, I think that's really what you want to be doing. And so I would probably take a 1 point here. I imagine he's probably going to go 5 in Burrow at this point if he's saving. So they're just so far ahead right now. They obviously, maybe not obviously, they took the Rejuve. They took mid boss right there, and they're pushing now. I mean, this fight is just so hard. They're, you know, actually not that far ahead anymore, only 6K, but at the same time, Abrams is dead, and he's pretty much where all of your souls are at this point. So I don't know about fighting here. Maybe if you can get a good pick. So an ult on the Yamato. Doesn't look like he has any follow-up from his team. And that's kind of the downside of Mo and Krill, is if you don't have a decent enough team, it can be hard, especially if you're behind to solo kill someone. So yeah, with them being this far behind, I feel like you can really only fight under the Walker here, but it looks like they're going to take the Walker no problem. Yeah, and that's 3 Walkers at 14 minutes. They are really far behind here. They might get these Guardians too. I'll talk about items here in a second once we get some downtime here. But yep, they're going to push the Guardians in. And I mean, the enemy team is playing really great here. This is what you want to be doing with this early lead. I've talked about it a little bit before, but it's so easy. Rejuvenator makes it way easier to push into the enemy base. So they got a Geist kill there. That's pretty good. I think he's going to back off at this point. His ult oh, he got killed. Yamato came behind. Let's see what this Abrams can do. Man, this Abrams is just farmed as hell. That actually was a pretty favorable trade for them. You know, iRemiix died, but they ended up getting 3 kills out of that. And actually they did get 2 base Guardians here. I think they used the Rejuve really well. You know, they got a Walker and 2 base Guardians, which is a lot, especially for 15 minutes into the game. So like I said, Rejuvenator really helps you push into the enemy base, gives you a lot of value. Oh, he might be dead here. Yeah, I think he's dead again. Man, that sucks. I think that was just a bit of an overextension there. I think he was trying to help his teammate, but you know, when he's pretty far behind at this point, so I feel like he's basically just an ult bot at this point. So they actually ended up getting a shrine too. Looks like the rejuvenator is off at this point. Maybe they get another kill here. Let's go back to iRemiix. Oh wow, so they actually did get the... They got the Viscose kill. I expected someone to die there because Paradox got a swap off. Who did they dome? That's a interesting dome. We got another kill. Ulted the Geist there. I think Geist is actually a pretty good ult target here. I think that's one of the other things you want to think through, especially if you're sitting on a death timer or there's downtime, is as Mo and Krill, your ult is so important. Thinking about who are the primary targets here. Looking at farm is a good thing. So if you look, Geist is one of the most farm members of their team. Another thing to think about would be, you know, one of the powers of Geist is going low health, ulting someone, and then being able to kill them. So if you can find Geist, ult her, and your team can kill her before she ults, then I think that's a lot of value as well. Let's look at his skill build again. So yeah, he did end up getting Burrow. I'm pretty sure he got that before combo. Because he was on 4 skill points when ability points when we were talking about it. So it looks like he went 5 in Burrow, and then he got 1 point in combo for the cooldown reduction. I mean, I like 5 in Burrow. I think it's probably the best 5-pointer that Mo and Krill has. The cooldown reduction plus the movement speed just helps you move around the map a lot more. I mean, your 2 is a big part of why you're tanky in teams fights, so that cooldown reduction is great. Let's talk about items here real quick too. So he has bought a healing booster, 2 armors, Fleetfoot. Fleetfoot's interesting, and I think that part of this build, what's happening here is he's behind. I think sometimes you'll see a Mo and Krill, if they're even, or even if they're ahead, Spirit Strike is so strong right now, and I'm pretty sure the Abrams has it, I saw. Not yet. I imagine this Abrams is going to get it. So on characters like Abrams, Mo and Krill, any of the melee tanks, Shadow Strike is so good, and it's so disruptive, especially with Mo and Krill. You're Shadow Striking and then immediately ulting. That's almost a guaranteed kill at that point. But when you're so far behind, you're not going to be able to climb that ladder to get that 6,300 items. So you just kind of have to fill your slots at this point, and I think that's what he's doing. So he did get improved spirit armor. I could see that because Calvin and Yamato are pretty fed, but it looks like the Shiv is actually not going spirit. He's going weapon. Paradox is, I would say, of course, weapon. Geist is actually weapon 2, which is really interesting. So, and then Viscose is, I want to say, of course, weapon. I think most Viscoses go weapon damage. So I guess it's interesting to me he would buy improved spirit armor. I probably would have gotten improved bullet armor here. I don't know. I'm really curious the reasoning behind that. So yeah, looking at the state of the game here, they're actually pretty even right now, which is impressive because they still have a single Guardian left. They have no walkers. So like I said, and what the team has to do when you're behind, you're basically farming. You're looking for easy picks. So if someone's out of position and you can kill them, go for it. Farming, looking for easy picks, and doing your best to not die. Because the more you die, the more souls you're giving them, the further behind you're getting. So you're basically, you know, obviously they have a ton of map control, so that becomes hard. You know, if you look at all of them, they're basically either at the midline or in front of the midline. So you just have to get as much farm as you can, even if it's difficult. He's going in here. Wow. He took a lot of damage there. Rescue beam from Ivy. See if he can get an ult off on someone. I'm wondering why they wanted to fight there. I mean, they are pretty even on souls at this point. But the issue is the farm is all on Abrams. So you basically have to try to enable your Abrams as much as possible. So yeah, they're backing off here. Looks like the Lash is going to die. Yeah, so they're down 1 now. I think you really got to back off here, right? Is it going back in? So that was a Geist ult there. Abrams looks like he's in trouble. Maybe. He's trying to get up, struggling. Ult on the Paradox here. Looks like no one can follow up, so that's really bad. I think at this point you have to back off. Pocket's pretty deep. He's probably going to die, though. Yeah. So that was a pretty bad fight. And mid-boss is up right now. That... I think that was just bad overall. I'm not really sure why they wanted to fight there. Obviously, the Abrams has a ton of farm on him, and you probably can win team fights. You just have to really play off the Abrams. So at this point, their base is so exposed, I think they have to go for the steal. Like, that's really the only way to come back in this game at this point, is to try to get the steal off. Did they get it? No, they didn't. So this could be GG at this point. Don't look at the bottom. Don't look at the bottom bar. Don't spoil it. This could be GG. Man, Abrams can just take so much punishment. That's so insane. The other thing to point out here while they chase this Abrams is they're struggling for flex slots too. You know, this Abrams has maxed out his slots. They have 0 flex slots. So that's another issue that happens when you're behind. Oh, he got Silence Cliff. Surely he's dead. Oh my god, is he going to juke him? No way. They're still chasing him. Oh no, he's dead. 100%. I think that's actually kind of bad too. If you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, and if you kind of think about other games as well, Overwatch, for example. Not saying this game's Overwatch, please. That was a good ult on the Amato. Weren't able to get it there. Looks like Amato has... I think that's Ethereal Shift. So once again, don't look at the bottom bar. This could be game. This looks like it's game, right? So the Abrams had a really staggered death timer here, which is really bad, especially since most of the souls are on Abrams. So I would argue that it would even be more beneficial if that Abrams had just died in that team fight and then they could all come back up together and fight as 6. I know that's like it's kind of a micro optimization at that point, but you know, that could be the difference between a win and a loss here. So he did get Heal Bane. We can talk about that buy in a second. They finally got a flex slot. He's taking a lot of damage. He doesn't have his ult either. Okay, so they dome the patron. Surely that's it, right? Damn. That Abrams just did a ton of damage there, I'm sure. What a fight. So that Abrams coming back up, I think won them that fight there. Yeah, 31k on that Abrams. That is 10k more than some of the people on the enemy team. Just insane. iRemiix is still sitting at 19k. That's actually a little bit on par now with the enemy team, so he's not actually that far behind. And the team itself is only down 3k at this point, so obviously that was a huge team fight win. They domed the patron. They were about to win there. That Abrams coming back up, I'm sure, was the reason they won that fight, because he is just farmed as hell right now. Like, let's look at his items. Yeah, sorry. Correction, Phantom Strike is what I was referring to earlier. Phantom Strike is the OP item. Oh yeah, you just saw Abrams Phantom Strike that Viscos right there and just did basically half his health immediately. He just got punched. So he still has his ult. Let's see if he gets an ult here. Ult on the Geist, surely? Nope, okay. No ult, but they still won that fight pretty handily. Yeah, that was a 3-for-0. So they're actually up in farm now. So, like, this is how you come back, right? You play as a team, farm, try not to die, take advantage of their mistakes, and enable your extremely fed Abrams. So the only new item, actually, there's 2 new items here. So he got Hunter's Aura. You know, you're up close, you're dealing weapon damage. I think you have a pretty decent amount of weapon damage on your team too, so that's kind of an enablement item, right? Because you're reducing their bullet resist. And then Heal Bane. I mean, they have some pretty prominent heroes that are going to be healing: Geist, Shiv, Yamato, and 2 of them are, you know, the most farm on their team, so just reducing their healing. So if you notice now, the game has shifted and you can kind of tell on the minimap, right? Look at where they are in the minimap. All of them are mid-section of the minimap or mid-line of the minimap because they have regained map control. So as this game has shifted and you've regained map control, one of the things you want to do, and one of the things the enemy team was doing, is you want to try to push into their jungle and farm their jungle to starve them of farm. So that was happening to iRemiix's team. Early on, they had lost map control. They were getting their jungle farmed. They were starved for farm. Now that's what you have to do to the enemy team. Take back that map control, reduce their farm. Obviously, the enemy team only has 1 objective on the map at this point, really. Maybe 2 when mid-boss is up, of course. But at this point, the only thing the enemy team can really take is the patron. Whereas iRemiix's team, they're up in souls and they still have a ton of objectives to take. They have 2 walkers, they have all of the base guardians, they have 2 shrines. So they're actually in a really advantageous position here. The only thing that could happen that would be really bad, if someone gets picked, 2 people get picked, then it's going to be really easy for them to push into base. And speaking of getting picked, let's see what happens to this Ivy over here. So he's going to have to rotate over here really quick. And I think that's one of the things that you need to be aware of, especially this late in the game, is you need to be around your team and ready to fight if someone looks like they're getting picked. Damn. That Yamato just got disintegrated. So surely he gets an ult here. Viscos is dead. Yeah, ult's on the Geist. I think that's a great ult target. Ooh, they might not be able to kill her before she ults. Oh, iRemiix. So that's another good point to make. So I don't know if you guys saw that interaction there, but so he ulted Geist. Geist was at full health. She wasn't going to die in the time that his ult was going to finish combo. So the Abrams waited until Mo and Krill's ult was almost done and then charged her into a wall to make sure that she couldn't ult anyone. So that was a really good combo there to prevent Geist from ulting. I don't think she got it off. Or no, she was on cooldown. Maybe she did get it off? Interesting. I don't think she... Maybe she did ult and she still died just because this Abrams is sitting at 40k. I don't know, man. He's getting chased here. It'd be really bad if he got picked. Ooh, he got swapped too. Yeah, this is going to be really bad if he gets picked. Knock up on the Paradox ult. His team rotated over. This actually... Okay, so they turned that. That was really, really good. They can probably take mid-boss off this. So, once again, that's another thing, especially in the late game. You want to be around your team so that even if you are potentially getting picked, hopefully your team is aware enough, they can rotate with you, and they turn that around from Mo and Krill getting picked to Paradox getting picked. And they should be able to take mid-boss off this, or at least, okay, they're baiting a fight. So I don't know if you guys saw what they just did there. So mid-boss makes a noise across the entire map. So they brought it down to half and then baited them into a fight because they're at an advantage. It's a 6v5. So they got the kill on the Viscos there. Pocket's actually dead though, so this actually could be turned. Oh, wow. So Yamato's dead there. This fight is just very all over the place right now. Oh man, Abrams is dead too. That is not good because that is where all their farm is. They could probably still push this though. That was a good ult on the Shiv there. Big lash ult too. Yamato's pretty pissed too. Okay, so they have 4 dead right now. 3 of them are on very long death timers, so they should pretty easily take this mid-boss at this point. So let's talk about the items real quick. So let's see. He got improved. So he did get improved bullet armor. I probably would have gotten that one first before the spirit armor, just because I think they have more bullet damage at this point than spirit damage. And then Torment Pulse. So I think Torment Pulse is a pretty standard item on Mo and Krill, because, you know, you think about what you're doing, you're going to be right up close, you're going to be ulting. Torment Pulse is going to be doing a ton of damage to your ult target, making it a lot easier for your team to kill. I think the only item that's missing here at this point would be Phantom Strike to me. Although I think that item could get nerfed pretty soon here. So that might take it out of the build, but Phantom Strike is just such an amazing item on Mo and Krill, because you're Phantom Striking, you're immediately ulting, almost a guaranteed kill at that point. So I'm kind of curious what they're doing here. I guess they're just getting their lanes pushed, it looks like. Lash actually might get caught out here, so they need to help him. Yeah, so he's dead. That's a big bag right there. I feel like that was bad positioning from the Lash, but at the same time, I think with Rejuvenator, you just got to group and push. Like, you really just got to group and push. You can fix lanes, but with Rejuvenator, your minions are more powerful. So the lanes are going to push themselves at the end of the day. So a big part of Rejuvenator for me is you need to group up and you need to push. One of the reasons they might be unwilling to do that, Abrams doesn't have Rejuvenator on him, and he's still far and away. Like, he has 10k more than the Shiv at this point. That could be an issue, because if he dies, the team fight is probably not going to go that well, generally speaking. So that could be a reason they're not pushing. I'm actually very curious as to why they're not. I mean, obviously with the Lash dead here, you only have Rejuvenator on 3 at this point. So they might just be farming more. They're actually really far ahead at this point. They're 25k ahead when they were down, I think, 15 to 20k. So that's a pretty crazy comeback. And one more item here. He got Surge of Power on Burrow. To me, that just makes sense, giving you a lot more movement speed. You're going to be able to get around the map more, maneuver in the team fight more. So it looks like I think they caught the Geist down, maybe? Weren't able to get any kills, though. Yamato is solo pushing. I feel like at this point, based on the Yamato typing, she's probably... mental's not there, right? Great ult on the Kelvin there. I'm not sure why... I feel like that was a pretty bad dome, because you're trapping yourself with the Abrams. 2 of your teammates are outside that, so I think that dome probably played in their favor. And yeah, they just wiped the enemy team here. And don't look at the bottom bar. They're probably going to win here. You never know. I wish I could hide this. That way you don't spoil the game, you know? But hey. I'm sure Valve has more important priorities right now. Oh, they're going to base race. Oh, that's what's happening. Yamato's trying to base race. Shiv's down there too. And this might be a little hard to see. Yamato just died down there. Shiv and 3 of iRemiix's team are there fighting the Shiv. The Patriot's actually really low, and they got the kill. Wow, okay. So this was actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. So they do end up winning this game. So GG, very impressive comeback. And I hope that illustrates that, you know, it's very possible for you to come back in games and really, you know, turn it around when it looks extremely dire. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for all the supportive comments. It's been very humbling, all the support. It just means the world. Like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube algorithm stuff. I'd really appreciate it if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.